Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life. And I'm feeling good. Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. River running free, you know how I feel. Blossom on the tree, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life.
Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Goat Talk Live here on V Speed. Glad to have y'all here with us tonight. Got a couple good fellas here with me. I'm Eddie Smith, of course, and we got Chuck Feltz. What's going on, Chuck?
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me, Eddie.
Yes, sir. And then we got Jamie Perkins down on the bottom. And well, I just wanted to welcome y'all into the gun show. We're glad to have everybody here tonight. It's going to be a good show. Excited to see what these guys have to say. And have been, I enjoy talking to these guys a lot. Chuck, I've talked to you many hours, so it's good to talk to you again. And Jamie, it's good. It's going to be good to get a little bit more out of you here tonight. So, well, everybody kind of start rolling in just a second. We're going to go ahead and get started and just kind of talk about these guys. First off, y'all had a pretty good week. Y'all been doing any racing on iRacing? What y'all been doing this week, Chuck?
Yeah, I've been doing some racing. Goat Locker actually had an off week except for Friday, and then I've raced in a couple other leagues. Uh, I'm pretty much on iRacing a minimum of 5 days, if not a full 7 days a week, depending on what series or leagues I run or actually running.
What about you, Jamie? You been doing any racing here lately?
Man, my paperweight is still sitting in here and hasn't been on since we left for Bristol. So I'm hoping to fire that thing up this week.
You can donate it?
Yeah, I should.
Well, glad to have y'all here tonight. Of course, Goat Talk, if you're new, Goat Talk is just all about Goat Locker and the Goat Locker Racing League. The Goat Locker nonprofit is sort of the main ideas. We want to just come on here and we see, you can go watch the broadcast and you can see what's going on in Goat Locker there as far as the racing stuff goes. We wanted to highlight a little bit more of the nonprofit, talk to some of the drivers, see what these guys think about, what they like, and learn a little bit about them, learn a bit about the nonprofit, what's going on there, and kind of give y'all a little bit of up to date news and stuff like that. So, gonna be a good one tonight. I'm excited to get this going. But so far, Chuck, we'll kind of start up at the top, not waste any time here. How did you get in iRacing? How long you been sim racing? Tell us a little bit about your sim racing background.
I've always been a NASCAR junkie since I was a little kid, so I always obviously did all the the NASCAR Thunder video games, and then the NASCAR 2003, the PC series, the Sierra Papyrus, whatever it was called back then, and then finally I pulled the trigger on iRacing, and I did it. It was more therapeutic for me. I'm retired military, and I needed something to. I needed so I'm kind of an introvert, but I needed some sort of community aspect and to be able to be with people in real life, virtually, but in real life, if that makes sense, live, and still also keep up with my NASCAR thing. So I've been on iRacing since 2020, but I've been doing the NASCAR video gaming. I know it's a sim, but I've been doing it for a long time. When I was not as much when I was active duty, but I've been on iRacing since 2020, and one of the best things I've ever done, especially because of the group of guys or the communities such as Goat Locker that you could become attached to.
Yeah, well, and we all know you were a Marine. We've seen you eat crayons live on air before, so uh, we know all about that. But tell us a little about yourself, Chuck. Where did you grow up? I mean, I think we know you by your arms, and everybody. You're sort of a legend when it comes to the webcams, and we're all paying tribute. Me and Jamie paying. Jamie's actually got some guns there. I'm lacking for some reason. It's real white and flabby. That's what they're gonna put on my tombstone for sure. But so you're well known for that. But Chuck, tell us about where did you grow up? Tell us about your early life and your time in the military, if you want to.
All right. Well, I mean, real quick. I mean, currently I live in Pennsylvania, but I'm a transplant to Pennsylvania. I was actually born in Santa Fe, New Mexico, for about half my childhood, and moved a little bit north to a town called Los Alamos, New Mexico. That's where the Department of Defense laboratory is. That's where they did all the technical stuff for the atomic bomb. But I grew up out west, and as crazy as it sounds, as a 9-year-old, I knew I wanted to be a Marine. I come from a very patriotic background, if you will. Uh, with my father and just the influence I had. And I knew since I was about 9 years old, I wanted to be a Marine. I know that sounds kind of weird, like most 9-year-old kids don't really have a plan for their life, but really, it's about 9 years old. That's all I wanted to do. So at 18, I left home and joined the Marine Corps.
I think you
And
spent a little time in Camp Shelby, didn't you?
Hey, okay, so I actually just for real quick, so viewers know, I did 13 years in the Marine Corps, 9 years in the Army. At the time, she's deceased now, but I had a wife who had severe medical issues, so I got out of the Marine Corps to move her back home to the state of Indiana to its support, so we would have family support because we were at the time I was in North Carolina, and then I ended up doing 9 years in the Army. So 13 years Marine Corps, 9 years Army, 22 years total. But when I did Camp Shelby training, which I've joked with you before, I know that's close to you. Out of all the places I've been in my worldly travels, in training or combat or whatever, environment wise, or I mean, there weren't like bullets flying, but just like weather and environment, like Camp Shelby can F off. Like that was out of all the places I've been, I never thought that some place in America would be the most miserable training experience. Just the weather, the humidity and stuff. And I've been to like the jungles of Okinawa or Guam or Saipan or the Philippines or, I've been to Afghanistan, been Iraq, I've been to Norway, up above the Arctic Circle. I've been to some extreme places, and Camp Shelby can beep. So, no disrespect to that place or anything, but just not my cup of tea. That's a 22-year career. Like, nope, I'll go other places before I go back there again.
I mean, I chose to live here, so that tells you a lot
I
about
mean, so
me.
I don't know what's wrong with your brains.
Yeah, well, it's man, it's. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's been great to meet you, Chuck, and we've had a lot of long conversations and stuff. And I brought you up on the broadcast a couple times, and you never told me that you didn't like that. So I always kind of kept doing it because you're a friend of mine, so I feel like I can speak on things that you've told me
Yeah,
about. So
known each
uh,
other a while.
yeah, and so when we talk about Goat Locker and we talk about sim racing and what all that means and what Goat Locker means for this community, I just kind of wanted to you to they've heard it, me kind of quote you on this, but I'd love for you to just hear it from your mouth where you've told me multiple times that this sim racing is like therapy to you sometimes. It has been a way for you to kind of I don't want to use the wrong word, so I'm gonna let you do it. So if you don't mind, yeah, just talk a little bit about what you told me before about this, what Goat Locker means, what about sim racing and getting in here with a group of guys, what it means to you.
Well, again, as far as iRacing or sim racing in general, it's something to keep me engaged in some sort of activity. Like some people might be on a bowling league or something like that. This is my virtual bowling league, and I don't live in the best of communities, and I don't like people, so I'm sort of an introvert, and I'm okay with that. I'm actually comfortable with it, but it allowed me to not talk to the walls. It gave me something to do, and I'm a NASCAR junkie. So, excuse me, iRacing in general has been therapeutic just as an activity. But Goat Locker specifically, and I'm in many other leagues. And I love all the leagues I'm in, or I wouldn't be a part of them. I could find another league if I was dissatisfied. But Goat Locker specifically means more than iRacing to me because I know not everybody is a veteran, and I don't know what the percentages are. The majority of the league are veterans. It's veterans based. The Jamie and Patrick, the owners of Goat Locker, who I've known for years as well from other leagues. They did Jamie Perkins coming on as well. The whole veteran. It's to me, it's veterans first. The racing is competitive. The racing is fun and everything, but that's like the icing on the cake. That's like secondary. Like the whole Goat Locker community, veteran base, and I also want to include our first responders, police, fire, EMT, any sort of military slash public servant type of uh, person, and even if you're just a straight civilian, but you're supportive of veterans, that's above and beyond the racing. It could be the best racing on the planet in another league. I would still rather be with Goat Locker, or it could be the worst racing on iRacing, but I would still want to be affiliated with Goat Locker because of the nucleus of what their mission is. It's all about the veterans and what they do for the veterans, and it gives a safe place. It gives a home. It gives an activity to do rather than veterans potentially go down a rabbit hole or to a dark place that they could potentially go down. It's an outlet. It really is. It's still very therapeutic for me. So that's why my love and appreciation, respect for everybody in Gold Locker and Jamie and Patrick and Jamie Perkins as well for what they do and the environment that has been created for veterans. That makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that that's kind of what we love to highlight that type of stuff, just because that's the whole purpose. We always laugh in the Discord because people take the racing so seriously, and yeah, we get in here to race, and But sometimes it's easy to lose sight of what's really going on. Giving away these sim rigs is for a reason, and I think Chuck, you're a great example. If you don't mind me saying that, you're an example of why the Goat Locker does what it does. It gives folks an opportunity, like you said, just to kind of piggyback on what you said, and that's, I think, is why Goat Locker is so successful, because it's got a mission, it's got something that it's got a goal that it continues to work for. So I appreciate you telling me that, Chuck, and letting everybody know what you're about. But speaking of Goat Locker and what is going on with Goat Locker, and of course, we'll kind of highlight something real quick, and before we move on to Jamie, is you'll notice there's a lot of pink going on here. We got some pink highlights here all over on the logo, all kinds of stuff. Of course, it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and here at Goat Locker, man, they are on top of everything. And Pat is such a he's always looking to bring awareness to all kinds of things, and breast cancer is one of those. You can see right there. I'm not going to read that, but everybody, somebody that has at least been affected by cancer, if not breast cancer. And so, hey, it's a great thing to do. People in iRacing, I'll tell you what, do a great job. And y'all can kind of speak on this if you want to, but you see it a lot of times, especially in October. Boy, those pink schemes come out just all the time. Everybody's got some sort of pink scheme out there, and so it's cool to see that kind of take a life of its own. And iRacing does a really good job of that. So if y'all want to speak on that, you can.
Yeah, I know this is one that I talked to Pat today and just asked him, anything he wanted me to shoot out on this. And that was the first thing he brought up was Breast Cancer Awareness Month. My wife is a bladder cancer survivor, so anything on the cancer side, we're 100% want to do what we can to help it. I think everybody in Goat Locker loves boobs, so we want to save the boobs, and just keep pushing, and just promote it. People can go, and there's all kinds of organizations that work with it. But yeah, just want to give our support that we know what cancer does to people, does to families, and it doesn't matter whether it's breast, bladder, or whatever. We want to bring awareness to it, and you know talk to people and get people to the right place to get help.
Yeah. Yeah, and Chuck, we all could have gone without the miming. I think we could have gone without that.
My bad. Sorry.
But no, appreciate that. Yeah, and like I said, just awareness, and sometimes it's easy to say, well, what does awareness actually do? Man, it does a lot. So if you have an organization that you want to donate to, obviously take the time out, donate to that. Anything that could be done to save the tatas, as they say, that would be. That would be great. So we'll move on past that, but just definitely wanted to highlight it. We big supporters of all kinds of awareness. We had suicide prevention last month and breast cancer this month, so all great things. But Jamie, well, it's time to move on to you. And of course, we kind of talked about Goat Locker and what the mission is here at Goat Locker, and you play a major part of it. I think a lot of times when things go out, and I want to thank Pat and Jamie. I want to thank Jake for doing everything in the league. Maybe sometimes we might miss you behind the scenes quite a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and say thank you now, because you do a lot. But what is it that you do? Let's tell the people. Put yourself out there. What is it that you do that people may not know about?
Yeah, I am the first and greatest vice president of the board of Goat Locker Racing. So I'll take that credit. There'll never be one like me again. Um, and I do a lot with sponsor stuff. With and then just anything that they need. And those guys all get more credit than me. They should. Jake kills it, man. He is that guy. He gets it done. Pat lives it. Jamie lives it. So I got brought in from Pat. Just it was funny. At the end of the day, he was helping Veterans for Life and said, "Hey, man, I want to tell you what something I've got going on." And we went to lunch, and all of a sudden, I bought a sim rig, and here we go, game on. So yeah, I came on right before the nonprofit, and knowing that they had already applied and everything, and I've got a decent business background, so it was good. Pat's got one also, and I think he knew he wanted to make something as big as he could out of it, and so asked me if I would join the board?" And I said, "Absolutely." So kind of jumped in with both feet, and I'm starting to kind of relieve other things so I can spend a little more time just because Goat Locker's growing. I mean, I work with multiple veteran nonprofits and first responder nonprofits and try to give my time. I'm in a great situation where I'm retired. I can do those types of things. Um, this thing has just been awesome, man. Like I love it. And with Veterans for Life, I deal with guys in really bad situations, right? Or where most of our goat locker guys are functioning pretty well, right? They brace, they got struggles. I'm a big PTSD guy. Like most of the guys that are in the league have some sort of trauma. So being able to see it where what we're doing makes such a good effect on the normal guy that I think gets overlooked is super important. And I love it when these guys are, you know, saying goat lockers help me with this and that. Chuck and I talking. Chuck's one of our Veterans for Life drivers. Um, he's always so thankful for Goat Locker and everything we're doing, and I just love hearing that. So I get to see um, I call it the happy place for, I guess, with the nonprofit stuff I do. Like this is like the happy place. It's the place where we make really good situations and help guys, and it's fun. Like it's truly fun. I said it the other day. Was having a conversation with Pat, and I think I said, myself included in this, I realized that Goat Locker has nothing to do with racing, and that was like a cool statement to have, and a cool like thought to go, man. I really see what we're doing. Like Pat and Jamie came up with a great idea, great way to put this together, and we walk it slow, man. It's not, we could run out there and try to have 50 leagues, and Eddie, we've talked before about how do we go to the next level, and I think it's very methodical and very thought out, and you just take one step at a time, and it's been awesome. So I do some things in here, but a lot of other guys do more than me, and I don't need a big hoorah or anything like that. I do what's needed. Try to give as much as I possibly can, and it's become one big ass family, and I love it. So
Well, let's talk a little bit more specific about what you've got going on as far as behind the scenes and sponsors and stuff like that. Safe to say you are a big part of bringing sponsors in, or at least you have a hand in it. So talk a little bit about the ones that you have hands in. What's involved with that. Talk a little bit about what it takes to go out and find sponsorship for a nonprofit, and then how to maybe manage that. And you say you have a pretty big business background, so kind of talk a little bit about that part of it from your side. What you've got going on, what you've done, and kind of what maybe the future has in store, if you can give some of that away.
yeah. I'm pretty heavily involved. I was in law enforcement, switched over to government, private side, and I mean government sucks ass. So in all of them, I deal with multiple governments, and it's just brutal. But so glad to be kind of stepped out of that situation. Um, but I've had multiple businesses. I deal with resorts and things like that. That's actually what I retired from, was the resort side of things, and just got involved with Veterans for Life Foundation. It's my buddy Richard Wyman started that. He's a Marine, and he was the one when we started the race team. He was like, I need a Marine on the team, so I went and grabbed Chuck. Said, all right, I need a Marine. Get in here. Um, but I started working on the sponsor side of Veterans for Life and trying to get Veterans for Life more face forward. Luckily, they've had some good scenarios with donors and things, so they don't have to do much advertising. But it was kind of like, hey, let's get this thing out here, and at the same time, we're pushing that. Patrick comes to me with Goat Locker, and I'm like, hey, let's just start doing the marketing here on Goat Locker with Veterans for Life, and do everything that we can do. So I brought Veterans for Life to the table, and we've tried to push that a little farther. Um, and Hidden Wit is through Howie. So what people have kind of heard, I think they talk about it in one of the broadcasts, where Veterans for Life Racing has a real race team that we're starting in the truck series next year. Trying to get that all put together, but Howie DiSavino is our driver, and his dad is the owner of Hidden Wit. He's an Army veteran, so Howie inadvertently kind of brought that whole thing to the table. Um, last year, one of my buddies, Air Force veteran, brought the roofing company, Right Now Roofing. We'll be back next year. So him and I are business partners in another business that's going to bring it sponsor back. He's bringing that one. We're both bringing that one back. Called Cree, and then I started Operation Valor this year, and that's where my whole PTSD side kind of comes into play. And that was going to be through Veterans for Life, but we're just going to leave Veterans for Life with housing, and we're kind of taking some of this resort special economic zone stuff that I've done, um, bring that to the table, and have retreats for veterans and first responders. So I'm not a veteran, but I'm first responder, um, and kind of bring in some good holistic treatment for guys to come. And the most important part of that is we're gonna have a big aftercare program. So once you leave the retreat, there's something you can continue to be a part of. There's a lot of failings in the veteran and more in the veteran than first responder community, but in the veteran community with PTSD and ongoing care for that, and giving people, instead of giving people a bunch of damn pills, give them other things that they can do. And this is exactly kind of the goat locker thing, right? This is there's the goat locker is a therapy, and we want to keep pushing things like that so guys have stuff they can do at home. They have a community they can reach into. And I know not everyone's going to get on the racing side, right? So that's kind of where Operation Valor comes. And I'm taking some cues from Goat Locker for Operation Valor with that whole our Discord group. I think that's the most important part of Goat Locker, really. At the end of the day, like, that's a place where people can reach out. And I mean, Chuck and I've had private conversations between each other, just texting back and forth and talking about stuff. And I know Eddie and Chuck, you guys have, and we all, if you need a hand or you need a something, right? Or just to talk, like, Chuck and I have some awesome conversations in Discord. They're pretty funny. But it's that's a place, man. I got brothers in here I can reach out to if I need it. Same thing for everybody. So I'm gonna, kind of steal that cue and put it into our thing over there for people who aren't into racing. They can still have the same effect that comes out of it. We're doing a lot of mission stuff in other countries. Like Chuck, I've from the government side, I've been put into every shithole around this world. So I I know we can go do some good too. So we're trying to get together these groups of veterans and first responders, and take them into other places to help people in need, right? Just everybody signed up for this stuff to serve, and that stops at some point, and they still want to serve a little bit. So, giving people the opportunity to go and serve, in other ways, I think is a great thing. It's actually pretty good for the healing side too. I've talked to a bunch of guys that are smarter than me that said that's a really good idea. So we're getting that all together, and Operation Valor is actually official now. But we're kind of getting all the pieces together, and we'll be talking more about it in Goat Locker. It'll be a sponsor next year, and we want guys from Goat Locker to use the service. Right, it's going to be free to veterans, and sign up, and they're kind of still staying in the home body, I guess, of Goat Locker as well. So I'll be as many of those retreats as I can be at. Um, but we're trying to put them in different parts of the country, so it's easily accessible to people. I'm dealing with the VA right now to get the travel benefits thing figured out, which, I mean, you guys all know the VA's a cluster. So trying to get that figured out. So hopefully it's just all covered completely, and they can get a free trip there and have a cool experience. And Travis Mills Foundation is going to come on with the race team, and they've got a retreat similar, and it more for loss of limb type situations, and but they're doing an amazing job up in Maine, and so we're working with them, and we can use some of their facilities, they can use ours. It's going to be a good trade-off, and that's what it's about, man. These nonprofits that are doing this kind of work need to work together, and it's it actually they tend to work together pretty well, but I think we need to push that more, and um, be able to use resources together, and just share in different pieces, because it's all one goal, right? They're nonprofits, so it's the goals at hand. Let's go get it done.
Yeah. Well, and Pat's talked about it a few times, saying that this league and iRace and sim racing, the reason why that they give out rigs is diversion therapy is
Yep.
what they call it. So I'd love for, since this is sort of the topic of this league and what it's used for, I'd love for maybe both of you to maybe speak on diversion therapy, what it means, for those who don't know, and kind of how it affects you, how if it helps, or other examples other than sim racing. If y'all want to kind of talk about that, Chuck, you want to take that one on?
Yeah, I kind of can. So, um, we spoke a little bit before, Jamie and Eddie, but privately or before the broadcast. I suffered from PTSD and was going down a really, really dark hole in my life to deal with my issues, whether it's anger or nightmares or depression or all the above or guilt. Survivor guilt's a big thing with me. I lost a lot of guys in my career. Not anything necessarily a bad tactical decision or anything, but it's combat. People die. And the fact that I didn't, I mean, I'm glad I didn't, but when you have to put a buddy in a body bag, it sits with you. You don't just forget about that stuff. And I went down a rabbit hole, not suicidal. That's one thing I can't comprehend that. And it's no disrespect to people that have had that thoughts. That's just fortunately for me, that's never been a battle I've had to deal with. I have had depression, but I've had anger issues or um, I hit the bottle really bad. And I almost killed my ex-wife in a single vehicle DUI wreck. And that was actually my light bulb. I didn't kill her, and I'm very thankful for, and we were actually on great terms. But it took an unfortunate event like that, and I have unfortunately been incarcerated for other issues, anger and things. Um, Not going to put all my laundry out there, but PTSD is a real thing, and it took me a long time to deal with it because, again, I have buddies who are missing legs. I have buddies who are paralyzed. So they're in wheelchairs forever. So I took the pride about, well, so I have nightmares or depression or anger, and I don't want to. I don't want to go to the VA because those benefits need to be with the guys and they have physical injuries. But I finally took advice of somebody that said, look, not every injury has to be a dismemberment or physical, like there's mental injuries. And I finally had to suck up that pride. And I heard what you said earlier, JB, about the VA. Now, I am fortunate. I have actually, the only reason I'm in this community is because of my VA. I'm actually affiliated with one of the top 5 in the country, so I am very fortunate. And I'm not leaving here. I may not live in this shithole neighborhood that I'm in right now, but I'm going to be tethered to this community where I'm at because of my local VA. I'm very fortunate to be having the top 5, but PTSD is no joke. Although it's not a physical and you can walk around with a fake smile, which I did for many, many years, and I still struggle with it. But I want to revert back to this whole thing. iRacing in general, and specifically a veterans oriented uh, iRacing league, has been a tremendous therapeutic value to me. Again, I don't want to sound like a broken record. That's the biggest thing. That's my number one thing about GLR is the the culture, the environment. Uh, the racing is secondary. Yes, as you said, Eddie, we're all competitors. Nobody likes getting wrecked. Nobody likes to get wrecked in lap one or lose at the very end. I mean, we're competitors, and that's what makes it fun too, because it is an activity, just like a bowling league or a pool league or a golf league or whatever. But the culture that has been built here, and I know I kept saying Jamie and Patrick earlier, but I do want to also include Jake in there. There was no disrespect to him by me not mentioning him earlier, but the admins of GLR have built an amazing culture of camaraderie. Like you feel like I feel a part of something again. I'm not saying that I don't feel that in other leagues, but specifically this because of the veterans connection and or the support of the veterans. It's just I feel a part of something again. I'm not going to go to the extreme and say like I feel like I'm back in my unit again. Of course not, because you're not. But that sense of like sometimes you can have a conversation with a fellow veteran and not even say a word, or maybe say 3 words, because we've been there, done that, or we get it. Like you're not one, you don't feel like you're imposing on somebody that doesn't give a shit. Like maybe in the civilian world, if you do try to confide in somebody in the civilian world, either they dismiss it because they can't comprehend it, and sometimes that's valid. Like, hey, if you haven't been there and experienced something, you can't relate to it. So how are you going to advise to it? And I get that too, but birds of a feather flock together. And when you could be in a community and an environment and bounce stuff off of each other, good, bad, or ugly. And oh yeah, by the way, you have some good fun racing. Yeah, it's a great outlet. It's been extremely therapeutic for me, Goat Locker specifically, because I am a, as embarrassing as it is still sometimes, because we're guys and we have pride. It is embarrassing to, because I think sometimes people, there's sort of a, not everybody, but some people think it's just a thing, like, oh, you're just mentally weak, suck it up, get over it. You can't get over putting a buddy in a body bag. You don't get over something like that. Or, a different example in the civilian world, you can't just tell a rape victim, oh, just get over it. It's been 5 years, get over it. No, shit doesn't go away. You don't take a magic pill and say, oh, take this and 2 times a day and with a glass of water and it'll go away. It doesn't go away. And when you have an environment like this or the community that you can be a part of, it's extremely helpful.
Yeah. Well, Jamie, diversion therapy. I mean, I think he just kind of nailed it, knocked it out of the
Yeah.
park. But you kind of want to hear your thoughts on it. Of course, if you don't mind defining diversion therapy for folks who may not know, and then kind of give your thoughts on it.
All right, I'll give you the easiest version of it. It's an activity that can take your mind off of where your mind may be chasing, right? Where you can sit down, you can do something that kind of zeroes you out. It's almost, in some ways, meditative. Um, you're focused on one thing, and you're going after that one thing, and all the other bullshit that's in your head is kind of going for that moment, right? So you get a couple hours to really let it go. And the other thing, I keep harping on the community. Like that is so important. Once you're done with that, we go into the community and it's fun. I mean, yeah, I love the soapbox, and the soapbox is great. You can go in there and you laugh. I mean, there's been a few times I laughed so hard I was crying at some of this stuff. And I'm a poke the bear guy. I'll throw my 2 cents in there every once in a while to keep it going. But it is, yeah, it is fun. And Chuck's right. Like it's a group of people who I know who've been through similar things. Whether you're military, first responder, you've had those stresses, right? Combat, non-combat, action, non-action, it doesn't matter. You've still been through those stresses or seen things that are effed up, man. Like they're just effed up, and that doesn't leave you. So knowing that you got a whole group of guys who've been in some situation that has brought them to have PTSD or some kind of stressors, we're all very understanding of each other, right? You don't know what someone's been through. And this civilian world's not great with that sometimes. The other thing is, I mean, for guys who are in the league that were non-combat veterans, they still have these stressors that they went through, and the pressures of the military or first responder action. So um, everyone thinks that they're combat veterans, right? But oh, you weren't in combat, you don't have these things. There's a lot of guys that have a lot of situations that were non-combat vets or non-action um, situations, right? So I think it's great. I think the community is just super important, right? Like the racing is racing. It's fun. We do it together. It's got you got camaraderie, and we're building teams and we're doing all this stuff. But at the end of the day, it doesn't, fuck the teams. Like we're all one, right? We're Goat Locker. We're all together and support each other. And I love having a community of guys that I know have my back no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah, and just it's been incredible since I've been here, just to see all that kind of play out, and then it sort of take its own. It started as a racing league, a racing team, really, and then went into the racing league, and it's now just spawned into something that is definitely serving some sort of greater purpose. for sure. And it's taken a lot of work, and we kind of harp on it every single week here on Goat Talk. But that's what this is for. So appreciate y'all
Well,
sharing that. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say another thing is we talked about Jake and Patrick and me and everybody, but hey, we want to give you some love, Eddie. You've been that guy that's been our
Whoop, whoop.
constant.
Yep,
Yep,
absolutely.
always,
Yep,
always there, got our
always.
backs. You want something, you ask Eddie.
Nope.
Whoop,
He'll
whoop.
he'll
Nope.
get it done.
Yep. You got to take it too. You're a part of the
Yep.
team too, Eddie.
No,
I
this
know you.
place.
I've known you for years, Eddie, and I know you don't take compliments very well. You're very humble. This time you need to take it publicly. Like you deserve a lot of credit yourself. Take that compliment like a man, brother. I
All right, I'll take
love
it.
you,
But
bro.
I
Take
wa-
it.
here's the thing. I wasn't a veteran. I didn't serve. I wasn't in first responder. So this is my servitude now, is to give back and be a part of something and help you guys see Pat and Jamie, to see what their dreams are, to help in some way. That's where this is. So I definitely don't need any thanks, but I'm happy to do it, and I really enjoy everything, and being a part of this is really awesome. So, but I do
We
appreciate it.
appreciate you.
Yeah. Well, let's, we've kind of been poking the bear on racing and stuff like that. And there has been some racing. We had an off week or two in there, but we kind of want to highlight the nonprofit, and I think this is this is one of the better ones for sure. And I appreciate y'all being so candid. It's not easy to kind of put yourself out there, but I appreciate y'all doing it, because it definitely kind of brings everything into, okay, what's this about, and what's it doing? If I'm a lay person, I see it from the outside. How do I know that, giving a sim rig to a veteran, what does that do? Some people may not understand that. And so I think this shed some really important light on what that means, diversion therapy, that type of stuff. It's a huge deal. And sim racing is maybe an untapped market. There's plenty of veteran organizations out there. But Goat Locker is cornering this market of, hey, how can we take care of veterans that they're out at sim racing? They enjoy sim racing. Let's get them over here, and let's make them bring them all in, and give them an outlet. So, it's great to hear all those. Here's y'all's stories, and we definitely appreciate that. Well, we've had some pretty good racing, but we have to go to a segment that has been pretty popular here lately. So we're going to jump right into it. I don't have a name for it. I'm still waiting on somebody to hit me with a really cool name for this segment, but we talked about the camaraderie, the soapbox. We kind of had this new channel spawned up where people kind of go in and talk about their races. And boy, it sure does spawn some really, really funny comments. And like I said before, this is just for fun. We do this for a good time. But as Chuck said, sometimes we get a little angry, get a little upset, and dadgummit, we can't help but to let it fly. So let's see we'll see what we got going on here this week. Is like I said, unnamed segment. We'll figure that out. Got to get the music playing. I got to get into character.
Eddie, go to January 1st. I'll be right back, sir.
Okay, you're not on screen,
What's that?
Chuck. I'm doing a bit here. They just got to put their pros in their own series. Not all of them, but a few of them were ego driving out there for sure. Bet I can forecast the majority of tracks on the schedule next season. All tracks GLR won at, and the season finale at Nashville Superspeedway. 54 is a piece of 54 is a piece of freaking shit. Screw that guy. This shit ain't no fun no more. It's just a headache every freaking week. At the field overdriving their ability, ruining the races for others every freaking week. I bit my tongue for the last 2 races, and I bit that bitch off at this point. I love getting locked into the wall, screwed by a black flag, and God knows what else. Another race, another week of the 50 using other cars as pinball bumpers. I can say that I'm one of the worst drivers in the league. That is until you got here. You typed while you were driving? Maybe that's one of your driving problems. You can watch in person if you tickle his butt with a feather duster. Half of us are arguing, and the other half are sexually harassing each other. My skills on ovals far exceed yours, my simple-minded friend. My team and guys I know outside this league know this. I've just had bad luck in this screwball league. The 99 is terrible.
That could be the name of the segment.
Like I thought y'all were supposed to be adults. Getting pressed over something like that is crazy, especially for 19th. Hey, frick face. Remember that when you get a black flag that wasn't your fault. Pete's just trying to address some potential issues and resolve them. Your dumbass input, once again, isn't helping. Your input is never helpful. So just watch STFU, unless you have some legit helpful input. We'll call you if you want to hear about your dumbass formula wheel. You clearly deserve the 3. Or 42. Maybe a green 10 with a GoDaddy on the side. Driver A, go screw yourself. I had respect for you guys, and now I've been making a few mistakes here and there. I've said sorry, apologize, and you guys do me this way? You people are supposed to be adults. This is a freaking sim. A game. Wow. No, because I'm fast enough to outrun your slow asses weekly. I just keep getting wrecked. The 99 is terrible. All right, there we are. There's some particularly good ones in there this week. The soapbox has really turned up the wick on this. I even had to threaten to ban some people if they try to delete their comments. So anyway, that's a little bit of fun we're having. We'll keep doing that through the weeks. So we'll hopefully come up with some new segment ideas, and it's not just that every week. But appreciate y'all listening in. But so it's always fun. Like I said, we've all done it. We've all kind of gone down the road of saying something that maybe we shouldn't have, and so it's good to highlight those. It's all fun. That's what it's all about. But all right, well, let's talk a little bit about racing. We've kind of covered majority of the other stuff, so let's get into some meat and potatoes of this. The last couple weeks, we actually had an off week, and then the Friday night truck series got moved because of Bristol, and so they raced last week, and so we've got sort of a group of races to kind of go over. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on them. We don't want to bore everybody, but we will kind of show you the highlight videos that Taylor Kitchens has done, and kind of talk about those races, the series, and kind of go over it. First, we're going to start with the Xfinity Series at Dover this week. Last week, I mean, a really exciting race. And here we go. Let's take a look at it. Coming off the corner, Andy Kurtz gonna lock himself into the playoffs. Checker flag in Hardy's hand. Andy Kurtz is your winner here at Dover. Well, Andy Kurtz takes the win, and he'll be doing that a good bit this weekend in this episode. Andy Kurtz coming out of the gates, winning a lot of races here, and we'll get the docs up here. Dover, 117 laps, 11 cautions, 41 laps, 7 lead changes. Dover in the Xfinity car, one of the most fun times you can have I think such a great combo. It can be tough. It can be tough. We saw a lot of guys have issues with it being loose off the corner, but still a really good race and a good win by Andy Kurtz, who takes the victory there. And we'll take a look at the standings for that series and see where everybody's going. We're kind of starting to have a sort of picture of the point standings now. Goat Locker has those 2 drop weeks, so we haven't really talked much about points. But we are out of 5. We're halfway. This is midway of the seasons, and we're starting to get a good picture of what that the championship picture looks like in a lot of these series. And in the Hidden Wit Brewery Xfinity Series, we talked about Howie D. Savino. His father is Hidden Wit Brewery. So cool to see that little connection. But as far as that, you can see the standings here: Caustic, McElwain, Ellingson, Kurtz, and Chris Sawyer. 5 different winners in this series, and this is a trend that continues on throughout this week. You'll see this kind of layout. Lots of different winners, not just one guy dominating. We've seen that in the past and sometimes, but the more and more the seasons that kind of kick off, you'll start to see there are so many talented guys. The skill gap, and it may not be that they're pros. It's just that the skill gap is so close here at Goat Locker. Anybody can win at any time. So as we look through these standings, I mean, you can see right there at the cutoff line, Bobby Jermaine, Brandon Wallace. You see they're just a few points, and it can make a bit difference. As we get down towards the playoffs. But those winners, no surprise there. Pretty cool, huh, Jamie?
It's cool to see Bobby Jermaine in there in the top 12. He came in around the same time I did, so it's pretty awesome to see him in there.
Yeah, Lance Ripka has been really good this season. I don't really know him that well, so trying to get used to some of these new names. Of course, I announced the series on Tuesday, but Lance has been one of those drivers that has surprised me. He's just quietly making his way and having some really good finishes, and that's why he's sitting right there in 10th. But those guys that are locked in, Chris Sawyer came in. Now, I don't know, he hasn't raced in a while. He raced Daytona, won that race, and just said, hey, he's going to take the win percentage and bounce. So not sure he'll actually be in the playoffs once it comes around, unless he starts to show up a little bit more. But that is a stout playoff list already. And you got the guy. Look at the guys right out of that. Daniel Cunningham, who he's always very, very hard to beat. He'll run in the top 2 and 3 till second and third you to death. Lucas Line definitely has the opportunity to pop off a win here and there. Patrick Rabbit, Jamie Barkus, obviously, they're just maybe a caution or 2 away from a win already this season. So there's a lot that can still happen. You see down below the cutoff, Chance Taylor, and he is he can pop off a win at any time. So this has a lot of. It's very, very competitive at the moment. The Xfinity Series is always really clean. Usually goes green flag most of the way, and so far this season, it's really been something similar. Have y'all paid any attention to the Xfinity Series, or y'all have any thoughts or anything?
Yeah. Always checking on sponsors and stuff. I make sure I pretty much watch all of them. Chance has just had bad luck most of the season. And it is cool to see, Lucas Lyons really come on, and not only this league, but I think he's in a couple. And Cunningham, man, you're right. He is like Mr. Second, third place. Man, he's gonna knock one off here, I think, pretty soon, and get the win. Patrick and Jamie, whatever. Screw those guys.
I'll piggyback on that too, as far as Cunningham. That is somebody you'd never want to sleep on. But I wanna piggyback on what you said about the Xfinity Series. For those people that are watching that may not know, at least on the NASCAR side of the sim, the Xfinity car is one of the most difficult cars to drive, and as clean as it's been, and the fact that there's been so many winners already gives credit to that series specifically, because that car is not easy to drive on any track. So props to that specific series, just because of the vehicle that they're driving.
Yeah, and so 5 different winners for the Hidden Wit Brewery Xfinity Series and cautions, and this is all thanks to our Goat Locker stats team behind the scenes, Patrick Drabick. 4.6 average cautions per race, and that's pretty good. That's just under 5.
Yeah.
That's really solid for any kind of series. If you run official races, you know exactly that four and a half cautions would be a dream in an official race, and so far it's been pretty amazing. And then we move on to the Cruising Classic series, and it gets even more competitive. It's crazy, these series that are going on this season. This has got to be one of the most stout weeks of racing that I've seen so far in Goat Locker. I don't think there is any comparison. I think last season the Truck Series had a lot of, the Friday Night Truck Series had a lot of buzz about it because of the 8 different winners before we had a repeat winner. Just super competitive every single week. You didn't know who was going to win. And this season, I don't think there is a series that lacks in competition. That we had Andy Kurtz that we were putting bounties on to try to keep him from winning in the ARCA series. I think he won 7 or 8 straight. It was just unbelievable. And that's kind of turned on its head this season. So it's really cool to see. But moving into the Cruising Classics and ARCA series, we got a twofer here. So we'll kind of give you this right here, and then we'll talk about it just a little bit. So let's go ahead and go to the video.
It is going to be a dominant and beautiful drive from Cody McElwain, and he's going to grab the victory here at the check flag for the number 6 corner.
And there you go. A little bit of feedback coming through. I'm trying to stop it, but it is the way it is. But the Xfinity series, or the next gen series, where we're going to start Cruising Classics next gen series, of course. And we'll take a look at the point standings here. But this series is just as competitive. Look at that, 5 different winners in this series as well. And I'm going to be honest, this one is stout. This one looks very difficult. If you're going to jump in and try to win a race in this series, good luck. These guys are unbelievable. Lucas Line did get the win here. That's why I say he can go and get one in a heartbeat. JJ Moore, he was extremely fast. He's fast every single week. But he'll start in the back and drive all the way to the front, and that's how he got his win. Jesse Whittington got a win. He's fast in these cars for sure. Logan Sturgeon got one, and then Cody McElwain this week with the Watkins Glen. And I mean, you put Cody McElwain in a road course situation. I would love to see somebody come in and beat him. It's impressive what these road courses got. I mean, it seems like once you figure out the ovals, you can be kind of competitive, but then you put anything on a road course, and it becomes way more difficult. But folks like Cody McElwain, Ryan Pendleton, Michael Kostick, Nathan Graham when he races, those guys are just a whole different animal. So Cody has been able to come in and get some wins, and he kicked their butt in the next gen series. Now, there's a lot of drama, a lot of that stuff from the Discord comment soapbox section came from that series this week. So a lot of drama came from Watkins Glen. Did y'all happen to catch that race at all?
Oh yeah. Well, I think when you're on a road course with Cody, we're racing for second kind of situation. Pendleton, if I remember right, got second in that. He was actually kind of on it. But yeah, the drama ensued over people back in 10th or something. I can't remember exactly where that was. But yeah, it was entertaining. Gotta love the soapbox.
Yeah, I think actually Ryan Pendleton might have gotten tagged on the first lap, and so I'll have to make sure about that, but I think that's what happened. Yeah, he's extremely fast as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's really good at road. I mean, everybody is that. There's a lot of good guys on the road course side that are really coming up. Patrick's great at it.
Yeah.
But Pendleton shocked me at how quick he is on the road courses. Just watching for the last couple seasons.
Well, and it used to not be where, if you're oval, you kind of stuck to ovals, and you wouldn't even run road courses when they come up on the schedule. But I think, maybe the car that they're running now with the next gen, and just that folks are kind of branching out, trying different things, especially on iRacing, there's so many really awesome road course things to do. Because back in the day, road course stuff was like, you started with the Pontiac Solstice, the Slowstice as they called it, and that was a piece of junk. And that was the rookie car. And then you kind of quickly moved up into basically open wheel. And so it was just not a lot of fun. I'm not the type of person that really loves open wheel, so I have a hard time enjoying that. But now there's so many 10 tops. So you've got all the IMSA stuff for the most part, the GT3 stuff, which is what I've been really enjoying here lately. And I think that kind of maybe helps, these guys' skill on road courses and guys willing to try. Of course, you see it in real life. You have 5 or 6 road courses in a season. But it definitely seems like the gap is closing for a lot of folks. Um, but
Absolutely. I think it was, if I remember, it was last season or something. But Cody like crushed the league, and we're starting to see that gap get a little closer. So it's awesome, and I love it. To keep it more competitive. Cody's a big road course guy, and it's nice to see guys kind of closing in on that.
Yeah, him and Michael Kosik had a great battle earlier in the season at Watkins Glen, and Kosik actually got the better of him on a pit stop and had him in the lead. And just watching him, I don't think
Oh
that
yeah,
Cody would have
that's
gotten
right.
around him. And then a lap car had just kind of not his fault. It was just one of those 50-50 decision that Kosik was going to have to make, chose wrong, and Cody was able to get around him. But yeah, there's some really good battles that go on at road courses. These are worth the watch, and I think what I like the most about them is there's no cautions. You kind of let some folks will do stage breaks, but Goat Locker they don't do that. And it kind of lets the race play out. You kind of don't have a caution. You're trying to get a groove, get 5 or 6 laps, caution comes out, and you're gonna get frustrated trying to get into a groove. And without cautions on iRacing, it allows you to do that. So but this series has been really competitive, and you can see those names, and some of those names are new. JJ Moore, Jesse Whittington, Logan Sturgeon. I've raced with Jesse Whittington, Logan Sturgeon in other series. Definitely know that they have speed and what it takes to win. I've been racing, Logan for quite a while, so it's good to see those guys come over here and kind of stamp their flag and say, "Hey, I'm here to race." You see Kostick, Drabick, Jake Collins, Daniel Cunningham again, Jesse Nekula, who I'm gonna be honest, Jesse Nekula has been really impressing me here
Yeah,
lately.
exactly.
Yeah,
I've been paying attention to him for sure.
and we'll talk a little maybe about him in the about the Friday series, but he has seemed to up his game quite a bit. And then you got Tyler Justice, Ryan Pendleton right there on the cutoff line, and then George Jewell, Bobby Germain again right around that cutoff line. But this series has been really fun to watch. So competitive. I guess the next gen kind of puts you in a box. Have y'all raced much with the next gen car? I know
I
you have,
like
Chuck.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like it. I've kind of come to the decision I'm sticking with trucks for now because I just suck in everything. So I'm trying to grab the trucks, but I do like the next gen. That's probably the best thing I drive actually. But yeah, I'm trying to focus on getting truck skills better. Actually, I'm trying to focus on just going to a damn race and being in one. So
There you
that's
go.
kind of my problem.
Well, we'll move on from this. We'll kind of get through this quick so we're not taking up your time. But yeah, so and then we kind of talked about the ARCA, and we've talked about the ARCA so much about the split in the pro division. You can see here on the standings, it's kind of split into those two right now. Mike George leads the way with the first the Thursday night series is the first series that has multiple time winners. So that we're already we're on the third series. That's the first one that has multi time winners. And Mike George in the pro division is has got 2 wins, so he sits atop the standings. You got Jake Ellingson, Chance Taylor there, and Jonathan Cofield in that Thursday night series. Andy Kurtz, Lucas Lyon, Brandon Wallace, and Keith Haney are above the cut line. Then you got Jamie Mullins and George Jewell. Those guys are top 5 almost every single week, so that could change quickly. And then over on the amateur side, probably the most fun to watch and kind of keep up with is that side. And Tyler Justice with the 2 wins. He'll be running in the top 5, running around with the pro guys almost every single week. So he's been really impressive. Rusty Rafferty with his win, Matt Knights, and then Michael McCarthy as well. And then you see there the cutoff line for that. I've raced in this series maybe the last couple weeks, and it's been a lot of fun. If I keep the Cofields from running over me, I might be able to do something in that series. But it's been a lot of fun. It's fun to get in there and race those cars. The ARCA car. Oh man, everybody kind of fiddled around with that high horsepower ARCA car. but I still think this one right here, this version is, which is the lower HP one. I still think it puts on some of the best racing that you can get. That car is so much fun to drive, the way that it yaws out, and you really have to drive it. So I'm a big fan of the ARCA car.
Yeah, Chuck, you've been racing in that league, right?
Yeah, I started. I think I started late. I think they ran the first three races before I was able to participate, but I've enjoyed it as well. I agree with you on the two versions, Eddie. I think the Gen 4 is the higher horsepower, same body, and then the regular Archer is whatever horsepower it is. But yeah, I feel it's been very competitive, especially since it's supposed to be the quote unquote developmental rookie series within Goat Locker. So but I've been impressed. Like you can't really tell as far as I'm concerned. The quality of the racing and the skill level has been there. But I do like the pro am thing. Since I started late, I'm not uh, categorized. I guess you could make me BM back marker, but I like what Goat Locker has done with the pro am. It gives incentives because it is the quote unquote developmental series. It gives incentive uh, for both skill sets. That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, and we've kind of highlighted before, but it's just nice to be able to join a race, and if you're racing against guys that are just above your skill level at the moment and have a shot to win, it's just such a cool thing. And talking about these averages now, this is a little skewed because they run lower laps in this series. It's not as long as races, but still, the numbers don't lie. They average 4.4 cautions, which is the lowest in Goat Locker. So for a developmental series that's split between pro and am, there's a lot going on. It's one of the cleaner series, so definitely worth highlighting. And that is the Veterans for Life Foundation ARCA series. So
Yep.
very, very cool series. It's so much fun. It's definitely worth a watch over on Nazareth 360. And McConey does the next gen series as well as the Sunday night one. So if you want to know where to go find those, definitely go check this out. But I think this one's going to be interesting to watch. I can't wait to see as we get down to the playoffs and get to the end of the regular season how the playoffs work with the pro and the amateur division. I think it'll be very compelling, even as a viewer, to go just check that one out because of all the stuff that's going on with the points, and you'll have. I really don't know. This is a great question. Maybe one of y'all know. But is it possible that we have a final 8 to final 4 pro and then a final 4 amateur? I wonder if that's how they're doing it. I don't think I really know that.
Oh,
Y'all
I
know?
don't think I know that either.
Well,
I will
if
find that out though.
but if that is the
For
case,
sure.
which I don't know why it
Yeah.
wouldn't be, that's going to be really
Right.
cool. You're going to have 2 championship races going on in the same race, which I don't know if has ever happened. I've never seen it. So this series is going to be exciting all the way through. So I'm excited to see how it plays out, and I'm going to be watching it for sure.
Yeah, here's another one that, I like to highlight some of these guys that have been in the league, since we kind of started as a nonprofit. But Matt Knights has been around for a while, and to see his name up there is awesome. I see him race a lot. Rusty Rafferty, Tyler Justice, those guys are new this year. They came in the summer maybe. So yeah, I just love seeing guys that have been like grinding. So I want
Yeah,
to give Matt Knights a little props. He's been grinding through a
yeah.
couple seasons with us. It's awesome.
Yeah, Jim Kaufman there as well. I mean, he's always,
Oh yeah, yep.
yeah,
Hoffman.
he's been running really well in all the series that he runs. If he can ever stay out of trouble, man, he's gonna be something to pay attention to.
Yeah.
We've got to request Chuck for the cat's name.
Oh, Miss Sassy.
Miss Sassy. Okay. All right. Well, there you go. There you go. That
Awesome.
Patrick Drabick was the one who wanted to know that. So Miss Sassy is the name. All right. Well, so that's ARCA series, Veteran for Life Foundation, ARCA series. Yeah, been really cool to see that series, which is something that I've said about 1,000 times. But let's talk a little bit about Friday trucks, and we'll take a look at we'll have 2 actually The first one is going to be Milwaukee, which I thought was a pretty amazing race for a flat track that I normally don't like. Let's take a look.
Laps remaining. We'll stack up here into 1 and 2. Howie did not get a great drive from the middle exit, but the 42 did. He is there on the back bumper of the 6. Can he make a move? He's going to maybe look to do a little crossover here, get up under the 6. The 6 backs up the middle of the corner. Couple bumps, 2 or 3 bumps. Had to come off of turn 4. Not quite able to get there just yet, but he is right there trying to make some moves here and give those bumpers. White flag is out, Joey, one more time around.
It will be settled here. There's another nudge of the bumper. Gardner's out of shape. He's spinning it down the back straightaway. He's out of the race. It is all up to the number 6 of Cody McElwain to hang on to it through 3 and 4. It's a hornet's nest behind, but we officially have our 4th winner in 4 different races. Cody McElwain wins at Milwaukee.
Man, how about that one? That was so much fun to watch, and Cody getting that win. That was he had stayed out there on some really old tires. I thought he was going to get eat up there, and man, credit to Jeremy Gardner there. We've kind of mentioned it a couple times in the Discord, but he had an opportunity to really just kind of spin him out. I mean, he was definitely faster. Cody was struggling with those tires, and he took a couple shots, but elected just try to give him a couple bumps. And to Cody's credit, he did not move an inch and was able to get the win. So that was a pretty good finish. I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, I was super happy for Cody. I mean, we expect him to have the win on the road course, but yeah, him to kind of come out and knock one down on a short track oval was pretty awesome.
Yeah, a lot of really good tire strategy in that race. The couple of the races that we've seen in many different series, but the truck series for sure has seen some split tire strategies, which it's always enjoyable, especially for a broadcast. Maybe not for the drivers. When you limit a tire set like what they do here, and most of these series are limited on how many tire sets they can have and change during the race. And if you get enough cautions, it can really flip flop the strategies. People, maybe on the backside of the top 10 will be on fresh tires moving up through the field, and then a caution can come out 20 laps later, and it'll flip flop, and they'll be sort of in a similar position. So that's happened a couple times, and I don't know about y'all. It's frustrating when you're on the track, but it's a lot of fun to watch when those tire strategies kind of start to play out, and we see something like this where Cody had, he had like 36 laps on his tires versus Gardner, which was on freshies. So.
Yeah, Eddie, he nailed that as far as when you're driving, not spectating, because you might want to take them because those fresh shoes feel awesome, but if you take your last set and there's a late race caution, you're screwed. Or you take them, or you don't take them, and then that caution doesn't come out. So it's like it is. Sometimes it's a pure guessing game. Sometimes you're doing the math in your head, like how many tires do I have left versus laps led? What's been the tendency of the race? Has it been a caution fest, or has it had the tendency to go green? So there's so much going into your head, and sometimes it is damned if you do, damned if you don't type thing, and that's where it is frustrating, like you said, when you're actually on track.
This is the race that Drabick shit himself in the first turn right off the get, wasn't it?
Yes, it
I
was.
believe it was,
Yes,
and then he
yes.
came back and nailed
He
it.
did. He put on a little bit of a clinic coming back on that one. So
yeah.
that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think you went. If I had to guess, I can't remember. Sometimes there's so many races that go off for me during the week, but I want to say he went down a couple laps from that, and actually had to fight back and be in a position to get a great finish. So, yeah, very impressive. You know what I'd love to see iRacing come out with? Just a little side note is I would love for the ability to put on scuffs, put on
Yep.
old sets of tires. That you have in the pits, because right now if you accidentally go down and take a set, you burned it. If you take 2 tires, you burn a whole set. You don't get those back. I mean, you can put left sides on, but that doesn't make any sense. So like 2 tires, you burn a full set of tires. So it'd be really cool to maybe like be able to put in, you run 12 laps, you change them, be able to put those 12 lap tires on. I think that'd be pretty cool if they could ever implement something like that.
I mean, it wouldn't I wouldn't think it'd be hard, and we don't have to go on a tangent there, but I mean, now we do have wet and dry tires on the road courses, so why can't they just write code and add a box and say scuffs?
Yeah,
Just,
just that's all you gotta do. Just
just my
write
thought.
code and just add scuffs. Yeah,
Oh,
Scuffs.
it's
That
easy, of
makes sense.
course.
Yeah, it's easy. Come on, iRacing. Hope you're listening. Scuffs.
Yeah, I think
Chuck might be the next CEO.
yeah, yeah. Just write a code, guys. Just get it done.
Yeah, duh. What else are you doing?
Yeah. Well, I love tire strategy. Ever since they come out with tire limits, and Goat Locker's always been on the right side of tire strategy. There was one truck series a few seasons ago, and I'm gonna date myself a little bit. I don't know if it was the second or third season of the truck series. That they gave us like 2 sets of tires for the whole race, and you had to make 3 stops. And so one of your stops always had to be a fuel only stop, which as a driver, that's aggravating, but it definitely does make some interesting strategy calls. And, I'm all for strategy. I'm all for things that make you think, fuel saving, that type of stuff. Do y'all enjoy that type of stuff, or do y'all just like to be able to go full bore, put on as many tires you want?
No, I like the strategy, but not to the, not, I don't want unlimited, but I don't want only one set either, like Brandon Wallace does in his league. You know how he's real chintzy on giving out tires, and that's
Yeah.
kind of been his thing. But I don't like it. I like an even mix where there's, depending on lap count, of course. You have to do your as a session builder, you have to do your homework on what options are potentially there, lap numbers versus tire sets, but I don't want it one extreme or the other. I like just enough. Same thing with fuel. I know we haven't really spoke about fuel, but fuel strategy as well. Like when you're setting that session up, give it some play. That could be beneficial one way or the other, and then you have to play out the dynamics of the race. How many cautions have there been? How many laps are left? How many tire sets do you have left with the number of laps left? There's a lot of things. So so the session builder has to kind of do his homework when building the session to get potential scenarios. That's my take on that.
Yeah, I'm getting into it because now I can actually go around the track without hitting the wall and all the people involved in the race. It is starting to become more fun to start thinking about those things and paying attention to where my tires are and all that.
Yeah, yeah. I think the ARCA series this past week at Chicagoland had a scenario where you had to save fuel pretty much the whole race because of just what you needed to get to the end of the race and make it on 2 stops. And of course, cautions kind of played out in a way that it didn't really matter at the end, but it could have, and you could either make it on 2 stops or 3, depending on if you saved. So. And it's always there's not always a clear cut answer. If you're 3 seconds off the pace, having to save, and people can make that up on a pit stop. It's not always the right call. So I think as much strategy as you can introduce into a race, gives you more opportunities to have more winners. But also just because you're the fastest guy doesn't mean you win the race every time, and that's the way it is in real life racing. The
Right.
fastest guy doesn't always win. It's whoever's the smartest, whoever plays the strategy the right way, and of course a little bit of luck. And so it's always cool to see that strategy play out. And in that case, for the Friday Night Truck Series, Cody was able to get that win by holding off a hard charge in Jeremy Gardner. Let's take a look at the Bristol race from this past week, which was it was a mess, but we got to the end of it, and it was a dominant performance
Before he even
by
gets
Andy
to the
Kurtz.
straightaway stands on the gas. He is ditched out of there. Levi McCarty is battling with Jake Ham, so the 24 versus the 87. McElwain is trying to figure out which lane is going to be faster. Is it going to be the high lane? Is it going to be the low lane? Now he's going to force it 3 wide. Now 2 wide. McElwain down to the bottom of the racetrack.
Can McCarty have an answer for the 48 of Kurtz? Kurtz pulls about a 3-car truck length lead into turns 3 and 4. McElwain loose. 2 laps to go from the last Great Coliseum.
Can we get to the white flag before we see another caution? The 48 of Andy Kurtz has dominated tonight's race, but Levi McCarty is proving to be a challenger 1 lap remaining, half a mile. Can the 48 hang on to it? It seems like the more green flag runs, the stronger he gets, and all he's got is 2 turns left. Andy Kurtz looks up to Barney. He sees the checkered flag. Winner, 5th different winner, the number 48 of Andy Kurtz.
What a win. What a dominant performance here from Bristol. And what a race. What a top 3. How about that?
Well, there you have it. Bristol, Andy Kurtz gets the win, and he dominated that race. It was a lot of cautions. Track position was important. He started up front, and he did not let go. I think he led, 100 and somewhere around 115 laps out of the 120. It was like a little over 100. He led a majority of the race. So, great race by Andy Kurtz, and we'll take a look at the point standings here for this real quick, and we'll try to get y'all through this and get y'all out of here. But there you go. I mean, these are a little bit behind. They're not up to date because of the Bristol race, but you could go ahead and put. Well, I don't know. Andy Kurtz, I think this was his first race that he ran. So excuse me. He is not eligible. I don't know if he will be, but he did get the win at Bristol. But there you have it, right there. Cody, Apache Dravitt, Cody McElwain, Howie DiSavino, Jeremy Garner. No surprise there to see those guys up front. See Cody's name in a lot of these. I'm glad to have him back, by the way. Cody has been gone for a while. I think he missed most of last season. So we're glad to have him back. But this series, Veteran for Life Racing Truck Series, this is the one that we kind of put out there as the best of the best. And so far, do y'all think it's lived up to its name so far?
If you take Bristol out, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bristol, a little bit of a show.
Except for Bristol, I would definitely agree. Like there's some fast guys, talented guys, respectful guys. I mean, in general, clearly Bristol was a little bit off. Let's chalk that up to being rusty from having a week off. I don't know, trying to make an excuse there, but yeah, I would say that the people in this series should be in this series.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah,
agree.
absolutely.
Go ahead, Jamie.
I was just gonna say absolutely. I mean, I think we're maybe like Bristol kind of showed we're pushing a little too much. Everybody needs to calm down just a little bit. But yeah, everyone in this series, and it's our main series, right? This is the one. So everybody that's in the series is deserved to be there, and love seeing Cody, knock one down, and Howie and Gardner, Drabick, those are kind of expected. Love Howie, all the stuff he's doing in this series. I know he helps a lot of guys and just helps teach them. Same with Gardner. And then seeing some, Jake Ham's back and Necula. Like, yeah, that's Caustic. I'm actually surprised Caustic didn't have a win yet. Sturgeon, he's doing well. So yeah, I mean, it's just great guys on this list. I give a little shout out to Logan on his barbecue sauce. Just little silent plug there. Stuff's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and you look down the list of the standings here so far. The top four, you kind of expect that. And then Levi McCarty, who we saw him almost run down Andy Kurtz there. He is fast every week. Ham, Necula, and we've talked about these guys already as being contenders. But just look at the list down here, all the way past the cutoff line. You've got Caustic, Sturgeon, Craig Bontrager, who is extremely fast every single week, James Goshen, Steve McDonald. Those guys are having great seasons right above that cutoff line. Then you go down below is Charlie Harcum and Daniel Cunningham. Those we expect to be, up inside the playoffs, maybe deep playoff runs, and they're outside the cutoff. And that just is a testament to how competitive all the series are, but this one is too. It just continues to surprise me how good the racing is in this series. Now, Bristol probably did hurt the average a little bit. Right now, 7.2 cautions per race. It's definitely the most caution field at the moment, but Bristol definitely was a big part of that. But I mean, the more competitive it is, the more likelihood you got guys running over each other, running on top of each other all the time, and contact's going to happen. So, not that I'm trying to explain it away, but I've seen it so many times. You have a really ultra competitive series. Guys can't get away from each other. Andy Kurtz was about the only one this week who was able to kind of be on his own island. Everybody else was just constantly racing each other. So when it's competitive like that, it's gonna it's tough. It's tough to not have cautions. It's just part of it.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I kind of feel maybe we, Bristol maybe not make the schedule next year. So just leave it off.
I don't know about that. You got to have Bristol,
Yeah.
man. You got to
I
have it.
don't
It's
know.
way
I'm
too
gonna have
much
to.
fun, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to respectfully disagree with you on that one. It was just an off week for us. I mean, I think the talent's there to run a
Jamie,
play in
I said
Bristol.
no cussing, okay? I said no dirty language,
You
and you
know,
just cursed us really bad. Sorry, go
yeah,
ahead, Chuck.
that's kind of. No, I was just gonna disrespectfully disagree with Jamie on that one.
Yeah, I think Martinsville you could take off any series. Martinsville you can throw it in the trash. Richmond you can throw it in the trash. Those are terrible racetracks. They put on terrible races, and they have no business being on schedule. Martinsville, I was a part of a 34 caution broadcast. 34 cautions at Martinsville. So I can confidently say, screw that place. It's great
Yeah.
in real life, but well, maybe not anymore. But definitely not on iRacing. Okay, well, let's move into the Sunday trucks. I don't have a video for that, but we'll highlight the point standings there. And David Duke with the wins got him up top. Jimmy Garner has 2 wins. I don't know why he's down at the bottom. That might have to do with the standings maker. I don't know, but he's got 2 wins. He's sitting there in 4th place. But you see, David Duke and this series has some people. I'm falling apart here, but has some people we don't really hear about a ton. The Sunday series just kind of it's a good night for racing. Some other people have come in that aren't necessarily a part of the series, and we love that. Anytime we can bring in more folks, it's awesome. But David Duke, he is sitting atop. Benjamin Stevens, Brett Bieber, and Jeremy Garner are the ones that are locked in. Then you got Chance Taylor, Mike McCarthy, which no surprise there. George Jewell as well, James Kaufman, and then we got Andrew Player. Brandon Wallace, Timothy Williams, Alex Egan, Colton Lamford, and Condorian Davis on the top 14 here. Anything jump out here? I mean, from 6th on back, it's pretty tight in points wise.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I want to say about Sunday was I was a big. I was for doing a Sunday league. I've been harping about it for a while, and I was glad Pat wanted to take a chance at it because it opens up the West Coast guys that sometimes don't get to participate, from the time schedule. So I think it's really cool. We got a few West Coasters in here, and we're throwing around potential Saturday stuff, and so that's awesome to have this Sunday league go. And I love seeing the participation, and we got some names you don't see because they can't race during the week, which is awesome to be able to put on this for Sunday.
Yeah, and it's been successful. I mean, it's been incredibly populated series, and then the McConaughey broadcast has been pretty awesome for this race in particular. The announcers have been pretty great. So really great partners and stuff that Goat Walker's got at the moment, and that series is just humming along. So I agree. I think Sunday nights are pretty nice. I think Goat Walker's always kind of shied away from it because it's like, hey, we like our weekends, but there's guys out there who want to race on Sunday nights, and hey, they're giving them the opportunity, and you guys are putting all the things in place to make that happen. So it's really cool to see the
Look
ability.
at that.
What?
The 99 is in there in the top. What 10th? 10. Brandon Wallace.
That must be wrong. We're gonna have to fix that. I'll send that
Yeah,
back and get that fixed.
that's another typo.
Yeah,
Can't be.
somebody move that out a little bit too quick. There ain't no
Yeah,
way
that's
that's
a
right.
goof because the 99 is terrible.
I'm trying a new campaign that the 99 is awesome.
All right,
You haven't known him as long as me and Eddie have.
Look, if you want to live on an island, you can, brother. It's all up to you. Let's take a look at these fall series stats. And Patrick, I believe, is the one who put these together. At least he sent them to me. You can see all the sponsors down at the bottom. You see the total race is 2,152 laps raced. 19 race winners. I think that's probably the coolest stat up there is out of 25 races, 19 different winners. That's pretty cool. 216 lead changes, 5.5 cautions per race. You can kind of see that, but 77% laps under green. and then 9 first-time winners in Goat Locker. Average driver counts 31. I mean, look at those stats. Those are
I
pretty.
like that one. The
Tho-
average
tho-
driver count, that's a
yeah,
respectable number.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough to get drivers and hold them, and Goat Locker's not having that problem right now, huh?
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then you see
Yeah, that's one of my favorite stats is and that's average. Um, you're right, Eddie. You've been around a minute. It's tough to hold. You start out heavy and then there's significant drop off, but that's a good. I mean, that's almost a real world live field average.
yeah. Yeah, for sure, and to spread it over, and for that to be the average over 5 series is
Yes.
pretty incredible. That I don't know how to explain to folks who don't really understand iRacing, but that this is impossible, is what it is. To be able to have 5 series with an average driver count of 31 per race, because you've got road courses in there. There's all types of different factors that cause the drop off. And that will drop off towards the end of when the playoffs hit. It's just a natural thing. It happens. But there have been a few series last season that didn't drop off all the way to the end.
Yeah, we are halfway.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully that doesn't happen. And if you guys are watching back, if you're running in the series, stick with us, man. Stick with us all the way to the end. That support means a lot for Goat Locker. It's just not for your playoff run and stuff. I mean, hey, when you join a league, people want to run in a populated league. You want to run in one that's got 20 to 30 drivers where you feel like you got a bunch of people to race. And when folks don't show up for whatever reason, whether it be my playoff run is over with, or I don't have a shot or anything like that, it just hurts everything. So I encourage folks to stick with it to the end. If you're going to be a part of the series, run all the way to the end. If you've got a sponsor or something, they want to see you on the track. If you got friends and family, they want to see you race. You got teammates, race with them. Be there to the end and support Goat Locker, because that's an amazing stat that just doesn't happen anywhere else. You might get one series that has a lot and the others kind of suffer, but Goat Locker has been just really impressive.
Yeah,
Eddie, can I do a
that's
quick? Go ahead. Sorry. Go
Oh,
ahead.
I was saying that's an awesome number that we're holding. We pay attention to that a lot, and that's one of the big things. When you talk about, I guess, the back office per se, that it is keeping these drivers. The other thing that's really really important to us, and I'm gonna make a little public service announcement on this: number of broadcast views. We're really trying to get more viewers watching this, more like make it a fan thing. Like we're in Nasty's, we're in Hidden Wit, and we're looking for some other places where we can televise these things and start getting fans. So if you've got friends, family, push it out there, man. Tell people you're racing on Friday night, Tuesday night, whatever night, so we can get more views up. It's real important. I know, Eddie, you and I have had this discussion. We've had meetings on that stuff of getting viewer counts up. So help us out by getting viewer counts. And the same thing with if you've got potential sponsors that want to come in and sponsor different things and get their name out there, bring it to send Pat or I an email or a text or whatever, and try to get some new sponsors out. We're even looking for a sponsor for Go Talk. So help us spread the word on all of it.
Yeah, and
If
another
I could
little.
put,
Go ahead, Chuck. Sorry.
I was going to put my final plug in as far as participation. This really kind of goes out to the new guys. Whether you're a new guy, whether you're an iRacing veteran but new to the league, and or new to iRacing altogether. Don't get discouraged with the league or the racing. If you're new to iRacing, obviously there's going to be a learning curve. Even if you watch NASCAR, sim racing, you gotta learn it. So don't get discouraged with your on track performance. Have thick skin when it comes to the soapbox. It's all in fun. So don't be like these guys are assholes. I'm out of here type thing. And even if you're a veteran of racing but you're new to the league, uh, you got to get to know the driving characteristics of the guys you're now new with. Even if you've been on iRacing for 5 years, but these guys are new to you, you don't know driver A or B's characteristics on track. So, new guys to the league and or to iRacing, don't get discouraged, and also recognize we have some dark humor sometimes. Have some thick skin within Goat Locker, but we're all here, we're all veterans, or we support veterans. It's a veterans community, so you know how our humor can be. Just have fun with it. But don't get discouraged.
Yeah, I like that. I kind of want to circle back a little bit to the broadcast views and how important that is. It's important to draw if you're going to draw sponsors or draw the eyes of another organization that wants to be a part of it. I mean, I think veteran nonprofits can probably get a little bit extra without those guys really demanding something back. But if you're going to advertise, the whole point of advertising to get your product, your service, whatever your company out there for people to see, and the viewer counts add to that. And you know, one thing that Jamie really didn't mention is when we're talking about folks seeing it, how do we gain viewership? You know, a lot of times our views come from within house. Uh, Drivers going back and watching broadcasts, also friends and family, and some sponsors who might watch from time to time. But usually it's going to be friends and family and the drivers and those who go back and watch. Every once in a while you'll have a viewer that kind of crosses over from series to series, but that's pretty rare. So to get above, you have to get out of that 100 to 200 view count, and the way you do that is by watching the races like you guys do, but also commenting on them and liking and subscribing to the channels that show those races, because we would love it to have it all on one series or one channel, but it's not possible. But anytime you like, subscribe, anything with Goat Locker, that helps the algorithm. So when somebody searches iRacing Racing League or iRacing videos or iRacing broadcasts or anything like that, the likelihood that Goat Locker kind of pulls up is higher if you're liking, subscribing, doing all those extra things. I know it's extra work, but it makes a huge difference. It's a mountain you have to climb if you want to get the view counts up, and you won't get more eyeballs because it has to show up. Whenever I pull up YouTube, I'm given the algorithm spits out what it thinks I'm interested in. Well, if it's not going to spit out something that is not getting a lot of traction, not having a whole lot of folks checking it out, viewing it. So the more people you share to, the more that everybody, it's almost like a multi-level marketing thing. If you can share it to 2 people, they can share it to 2 people, it continues to grow. And if we can break into the 500, 600 view per broadcast or video or whatever, it can start to exponentially grow, and Go Walk and get up there and be, whenever someone types in iRacing, be one of the videos that pops up that people can go and watch. And so there's a lot of responsibility that goes on the content creators around here. So if you'd like to make content for Goat Locker, David Duke, I know he's got his own channel and he does stuff. Taylor Kitchens with Above the L Lines have been really involved with Goat Locker and doing stuff with that. Anybody that does any kind of content creation, if you have something you want to put out there, a clip from your race, you want to send it to somebody and have them put up, anything you can do, send it to Pat and Jamie, let them put it on the Goat Locker TikTok, anything like that might help, get Goat Locker into the algorithm, help push it up, is all going to make a huge difference. And so I would love to make videos and TikToks all the time. Time is just always going to be a limiting factor. But any of that kind of stuff can help. But at the very least, just clicking like on a video when a broadcast is over, commenting on it during the race, all that stuff makes a huge difference. And if you're not subscribed to McConey, V-Speed, and Nazareth 360, please do that, because that also helps. So a little bit of a soapbox there of my own, but it's important that we try to figure out how to get ourselves into the zeitgeist of iRacing. I want Goat Locker to be a part of when people think of iRacing's channel, they also think of McConey now, because McConey's integrated himself into that. But also I want Goat Locker to kind of jump and move into that little group when people think of iRacing and they think of Moon Car and they think of all those things. I want Goat Locker to eventually get to that point where, hey, what about Goat Locker? Y'all running the Goat Locker race this week? Goat Locker's doing a special event. We're gonna run that one? I want that to be something that people are interested in. So all that stuff helps. And of course, I think our viewers, and we got loyal family members, viewers that do a lot. So, but anyway,
Yeah.
I'll jump off that. Sorry, go ahead, James.
I'll say I got a couple little quick rundowns. Speaking of that, we've got 2 events coming up that we'll be at as Goat Locker. We got one with Lincoln Tech, that's our title sponsor. The FFA, that's the Future Farmers of America, in I think it's just south of Indianapolis, on October 23rd and 24th. we'll have the Goat Locker booth set up out there. So anybody that's around Indiana wants to shoot over and say hi and give support, we'd love that. Lincoln Tech will have their booth out, so you can meet those guys as well. And then one of our OG sponsors, Cruising Classics and Nasties. We will be there November 1st at Cruising Classics and November 2nd at Nasties. So stay tuned for that. If you guys can get there, that'll be awesome. We'll be hanging out at Nasty's and eating some grub and talking. Myself and Patrick, I know, will be there. I think some of our Ohio boys will be coming up. Pendleton should be there as well. And another thing is hoodie orders and long sleeve T-shirts. If you could just message Pat, so we've got a good head count of who wants one and what size. So we got a lot of people that ask about the hoodies. So hit Pat up on that. And stay tuned. We got 2 rigs going back to back. We got one for an Indiana veteran and one for an Ohio veteran.
Hey, all right.
That's coming. We'll be giving the Ohio veteran out, I think, at Nasty's on that one. So we're getting ready to pick that guy. We've got the Indiana guy picked, so those will be going out real soon. So we'll have 2 of them back to back.
So
Heck
I
yeah.
have a question on that. Do they, Jamie, when you give these rigs out to these veterans, is it like, do you pull them to a location and it's a surprise, or do they know beforehand that they're receiving this?
They've been
I'm
all different. One we went to Arrow McLaren because he worked for Arrow McLaren, and some Pat went to the guy's house the last time. So it just depends on the scenario. Some
scenario.
of them, we've got some of them have to go to Indiana veterans just because that's the way that that's set up. That's through a grant, and then Nasty's raised the money for the Ohio one. So yeah, we would love to do. The whole point of we bought that trailer and the car, and we've got the mobile sim and all that stuff is to go to places, show off what we're doing, raise money for Goat Locker, and give the sim away there, right? So that's part of the deal, and that's why we got all that stuff.
Well, and speaking of, we talked about all the great partners that are involved and that contribute to all these different things that are going on with Goat Locker. And one thing maybe I don't push enough that I wish I would, I'm going to do it right now, is go into the website and clicking the donate button. There's so many great partners who donate a lot of money and give to the nonprofit. But if you're looking for a place to give, what better? I mean, than something that maybe you or your family's involved with. We'd really love to see more donations come in from that website. Go to the website, goatlockerracing.com or goatlockerracing.org, /donate, and there'll be a little donate now. And if somebody is saying, I'd love to donate to something, that makes a difference, that actually is doing something, what better way to drop a donation there? Those type of things add up. We talked about it, Bristol, somebody in the stands, tossing some money towards the cause, and I promise you, it gets put to good use. So definitely, if somebody's looking for something like that, definitely send them to that website, and those donations make a big difference. So
Yeah, even if it's $5, I mean, it all makes a difference. Like I think sometimes people don't realize we have to pay for broadcast and we have to pay for all these pieces that go into this, and the sponsors help, the sponsors make it happen, but we can use those things, and then whatever's left goes into sim rigs, right, that we can donate. So we're always looking, and yes, I think all of us should be maybe a little bit better about pushing it out there, and trying to get any extra dollar helps. So
that's right. Well, all right. Well, I tell you what. So
Yeah,
much
long
for
one.
so much for an hour, but hey, it was
Right.
worth it. It was worth it. I don't think there's any wasted space on this one. So hey, it is what it is. We'll keep trying to get better at these podcasts, but they're just fun to do. It's fun to get to know folks, and it was good to talk to both of you, Chuck and Jamie. It's good to get to know y'all a little bit more, see what's going on. Jamie, I appreciate you talking about all the stuff that's going on behind the scenes. We always like that kind of stuff. And Chuck, sharing your story, sharing what Goat Locker means to you, man, that's awesome. And looking forward
Thanks for having me.
looking forward to get on the track with you again, as long as you'll stay off of me. That's what's the most important.
Well,
All right,
now that I know you're a TikToker, you just have to let me know when. And plus, what do you wear when you make your TikTok videos?
I don't make TikTok videos, so I
You said you were TikToking.
I don't do it. I don't do it at all. So you won't find me on making no TikTok videos. All right, guys. Well, that's going to be it for us. Thank y'all for watching. If y'all stuck that out, praise God. Y'all deserve a lot. Thanks to Chuck and Jamie again. And we will be back next week talking about all things Goat Locker. We'll see you then.
Good night, y'all.
Yeah.